You've tuned into Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. Banned again, ladies and gentlemen. We're out here on the backup channel, and it's nice to see a few familiar faces. Of course, we just do these live shows for fun, ladies and gentlemen. And the real action right now for this channel is on the fake book. Most of our fan base is on the fake book. Not sure how many people know we even have a fake book channel. It's thanks to one of our many nodes on the network. There are many mirrors, but only one live show. And you're here. So what is going on the fake book? Well, of course, we keep hitting that 5G.
Don't see.
Drew Fountain has a $20,000 meter.
Oh.
Davis is one of 250,000 workers a year. An insurance rating agency said gets too close to these antennas. They act as an open microwave and can...
So, 250,000 telecom workers are sickened every year, according to the insurance industry. This is their report. And, of course, we talked about that, among other things. And this one got 31.6 million views. Look at that. Not too bad, not too shabby. Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to find us there. It's STFN Reloaded. But we don't have any control over the page. It's through proxy. So if you want to get a hold of us, the Twitter and the like tends to be the best. Not sure what the DJ is doing out there, but we'll figure it out. I guess this broadcast here is just to let people know that we're temporarily on this page for like a week. So this is where the live shows will take place, starting tomorrow. Dr. Fauci's broadcast. That one got nicely censored. Gangsters in New York. Nurses telling us that they're killing people in the hospitals in New York. That's where the casualties are coming from. There's the food supply problem and the like. And so lots of interesting stuff on our fake book. It's a mirror of the ScrewTube channel. The live shows end up here for mass distribution. Wow. The birds are coming. Anybody out there? We got anybody out there? Have we lost anybody? Oh, we gained a couple. What are you guys doing? So we're going to spend a lot of time in the chat. I got about 20 minutes to hang out with everybody, so I really want to focus on the smart ones that were able to find us. So you guys are the cream of the crop, it looks like. The future presidents of the fan club. I'm just kidding. So big shout out to Ben and Ellie and Effie, Vegeta, Matrix Universe, Naomi, KRS, Jake. What's going on? I know there's a couple others out here that showed up. KRS, Verticality. Yeah. What's going on? So, you guys want to talk about anything? Anything at all? Come on, throw something out there. Anything. We'll come back to you. What else we got in the news? The fluoride. Ooh, how it penetrates. And, of course, they didn't ask for your permission to penetrate you with the fluoride, or the heavy metals, or the death towers. But Your children get dosed. That's okay. No need for consent. And no need to talk back to the system. That's criminal. Ladies and gentlemen, trying to defend yourselves or even talking about defending yourselves is a criminal act. Will not be allowed, will not be tolerated. Look at this. U.S. cracks down on ethanol-based sanitizer. What could go wrong there? One case, the FDA said it found significant levels of the carcinogen acetaldehyde in ethanol. Huh. You know, like for the gasoline. So what will they think of next? We need to remember that the same guy who says we need to depopulate suddenly wants to save us with his vaccines. Ladies and gentlemen, there are too many people on the planet, too many libtards. This is our new world now. And it's funny because they keep, pretending like it was a big surprise. Nobody could have stopped it. It's amazing to watch these politicians lie, ladies and gentlemen. You have to wonder what's going on with the homeless people. Are they being rounded up? It looks like they're taking their belongings off the streets and throwing them into the trash. I mean, that's all that some people have in this world. Sad, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, this is all on our website, stfnreport.com. Never miss a show. We broadcast every day. And, some days are better than others. This really isn't going to be a regular broadcast, but it does give people an opportunity to find us again. Oh, what was the video guy doing? Oh, we're getting total hardcore interference from the Matrix. It's not a surprise. Empty testing centers. Doctors that are just dancing around on TikTok. Makes you wonder what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we've got some big news on the criminal FBI front to get into. Creepy Biden just brought in a bunch of lawyers to protect him from an onslaught of sexual harassment cases. Who remembers John Edwards? That case. That guy disappeared so bad, so fast, nobody even remembers him anymore. But not that long ago, I mean, this guy was like, the shit in politics. Bye-bye. That's what free speech gets you. That's why they don't want it. What is this? Justice Department never could imagine asking whether a goal for questioning someone was to get them to lie. Of course they do. General Flynn case. Prepare to wait 4 hours to board a plane with new testing and checkpoints and the like, and much higher ticket prices, they say. You thought the prices were going to go down? Oh no, they're going to go up. Inflation is going to kick in. They're printing so much money right now. Now, this is the article that should disturb, quite a few people here. And they call it BAME. This is their word. I've never heard this before. But BAME stands for Black, Asian, and Minority Ethnic. So that must be like some kind of LGBT thing, but for skin color. So they're getting creative with their labels. But these BAME people are more at risk, and they're being asked to get off the front lines. So they seem to be more vulnerable to this virus. Rather interesting. It targets non-white people. Very interesting. Gain of function research. We talked about that. A lot of chatter on the networks over, what the FBI was doing in the Russia investigation, as well as General Flynn. People don't really think about that. The fusion GPS. I mean, the first 2 years of this administration, it was all exposing, these Democrats and what they were up to and what they did. And somehow they didn't manage to prosecute a single person. It's kind of like the Hillary investigation. They gave a bunch of people immunity agreements, but they didn't prosecute anyone. And usually when you give someone an immunity agreement, it's for them to testify, or, there's some criminal activity going on. They're immune from prosecution. Usually somebody's going down. They gave everybody a get out of jail free card, quite literally. It was reported by the press, and they never convicted anyone. They never even tried anyone connected to the Hillary case. The emails and the bleach bit, the destruction of evidence. We have a very selective injustice department in this country. Michael Flynn attorney responds to explosive documents. Should check that out. These are some pretty interesting video clips. And, their sole purpose when it came to interviewing Michael Flynn was to get him fired. They went in there with a mission to seek and destroy. And, just like all of the other cases that they brought up, they were very questionable in nature. And obviously political, weaponized, and used as a tool for politics. And, if that's the state of our Justice Department, where it's meant to persecute people of, the other party, then it really becomes more like the Gestapo than anything else. And I think what we're seeing here should be a warning to us all, just how destructive our government has become. And, they're just going after normal citizens for political reasons. And it's severe. When they're locking people up for 5-10 years, dragging them into court, bankrupting them, in their defense. I mean, this is a, pretty serious thing. They're ruining lives, and, they're covering it up with their puppet media. It's really disgusting. It's a very disgusting situation on every level, on every metric, and it's why people are so desperate. And that's the word, desperate to defend themselves. That's what's really going on these days. People are, desperate to defend themselves, desperate to find out the truth, desperate to be able to talk to people about it. And that's why communities like ours are important, because it helps people understand that you're not alone. What you're thinking is not your imagination. It's really happening. And other people are connecting the dots as well, but they don't want you to know. And it's much like the cancer clusters at the schools. The only way people really find out that there's a problem with these death hours is when they start talking to each other. Oh, your kid too. Oh, you have it too. We're getting a lot of reports of people just, of people being surrounded by cancer cases in their lives. It never used to be like that. And it just keeps getting worse. And now they're unleashing, the virus at you. Is anybody out there? Yeah, looks like we got a couple more people. Be sure to like and share. Let people know where we're at. So what do we got in the comments here? Let's see if we can read some of these, if we can. Burning towers in Florida. I think there's a lot of towers burning right now, and they're freaking out. They're freaking out hardcore. And, we've got numerous reasons to think that. And what we discovered in the Brooklyn case, we just started searching, and, we just saw these kind of underreported videos where people were like, yeah, a bunch of us went out there and took down that Death Tower. We're tired of feeling ill and this and that. And, it's people know, what the source of their anguish tends to be. You know what I mean? Like, usually if there's something that hits you, you know where it comes from. And most people are, now looking at these Death Towers as a source of their affliction. And so people are like, it's not just like one person. I mean, the Brooklyn thing was like, it sounded like the whole projects took down, this Death Tower. And you'd think there'd be like just a huge amount of buzz about it, but everything is censored. Why? Because all of these companies are liable in radiation poisoning, in poisoning, the American people. When you think about it, right? How many of these companies use the airwaves in one form or another to distribute their products? And, most of them do. There's still a lot of television stations broadcasting over the air. There's a lot of, people that are using these websites on their phone. And so obviously they're getting irradiated when, they're surfing on their website. And the insurance companies aren't covering liability due to RF poisoning or radiation poisoning. And that's really kind of like at the crux of the matter. If a bunch of, civil suits come rolling down, they're not covered by insurance. And so they desperately need to censor any type of awareness on the trouble on this topic. And even though there's been big government studies like the Interphone study, and we recommend everybody check that one out, and the summaries on it if you don't fully understand what they were getting at. But the Interphone studies, these government studies, are proving that cancer is related to this radiation. As far as Gates being a straight up demon, I mean, they all are. For the most part, all of these CEOs, all these people on television, all of these politicians. And, they've been co-opted by demonic spirits, tortured, taken over. And there's a lot you could say about, that aspect of what's going on out there. And we should talk more about it. I don't think right now we've got anything really prepared for that, but in terms of video or anything like that. But it is an ongoing struggle in everybody's lives. The spiritual wickedness is literally all around us, and it basically makes for a matrix-like phenomenon. And again, we're just not going to get into all of that right now, but yeah, demonic people everywhere. What else can we say? What else is going on out there? They're definitely losing it. But yeah, they're not going to report that the Death Towers are being burned down because it'll give people the wrong idea. And, it's kind of like in the serial killer cases. Sometimes they didn't want to cover it because, it would spawn copycat killers. And of course, this is, something that has plagued, journalism for quite some time. Do you cover criminal cases because it gives people the wrong idea? But then you look at the television, you look at the movies, and, they're just inspiring murder and adultery and all sorts of, criminal activity. And nobody seems to care there. You don't see them trying to take down trailers for, Ocean's 11 or some kind of, bank robbery movie or anything like that. even though, they're inspiring criminal activity with their movies, right? So it's very selective as far as what gets censored, and obviously anything that has to do with this beast system totally gets censored. And, that really just describes the situation quite well. I highly recommend that everybody check out the Derek Prince ministries and seminars on spiritual warfare in the heavenly and on earth. It's pretty well done in terms of its description. I think we might add to that someday. I think everybody's got some experience or has had some kind of thing happen in their lives that's just beyond normal. Hopefully you've seen that. Hopefully you've experienced the world enough to see the truly bizarre, the truly demonic. And sometimes you only catch micro expressions, something that's just really, out of this world. But sometimes it's much more intense. What else can we say? University of Delaware board members who are keeping Biden's Senate records secret have close ties to the former vice president. Over 70% of tested inmates have COVID. So, it gives us an idea about how widespread this could be. And I suppose we should talk about that a little bit. I mean, that's the title of this particular broadcast, but we've said since the beginning of this outbreak that it looked like it was designed to infect pretty much everybody in the country before the first bodies really hit the floor. It's that infectious. It's super infectious. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Just the shape of it. It's shaped like pollen, and that gives it a very long shelf life, to say the least. I mean, these dancing doctors, I just can't take it anymore. We're just gonna stick to this screen here. It's a little less annoying, but as far as where this all goes at this stage, it's hard to say. There's a couple competing theories right now that there won't be another wave, and there will be another wave. Everything that we've seen and experienced since the beginning of this crisis leads us to think that the infections will be persistent, that people will either relapse or get reinfected, and that there probably won't be much of a cure out there, and that every kind of treatment that they discover will be short-term at best, and this virus will find a way to adapt and mutate or get around the treatment. And the reason is similar to HIV or perhaps herpes and the like. It goes dormant in certain types of cells, and it's just not picked up by the immune system. Virology is actually, super, super interesting, because you see that, viruses can generate microproteins or micro RNA strands to actually turn off mechanisms in the body, including immune response. And how effective it is depends on a lot of things, but it's got countermeasures built in, coded in to the virus. A lot of viruses have countermeasures to a certain extent, up to and including going full Red October and, just totally silent, and then it just comes back. And so, the prospects here are, wide ranging. And, it's hard to, describe anything in terms of specifics. All one can do is just kind of guess, really, at this stage. This is such a new virus that there really isn't a whole lot you can say with certainty. But if we look at probability at this stage, and it's just kind of a stab in the dark here, but probability suggests that this will be a persistent infection. I mean, just the worst case scenario, really. And that, society will never recover 100% and will always be fluctuating somewhere between 50 and 75%, coasting at, somewhat near normal, but not quite. And, it's difficult to say if there'll be any activity that goes back to normal, like sports events, schools, and the like. And I think the first year, it's going to be a lot of experimentation. I think they're going to try and reboot, restart. And what we're going to see is that it's going to crash. How long will that take? It could be every 2 months, we'll see a new wave. And so basically, we'll have 2 months of normal, and then 2 months of lockdown, 2 months of normal. And perhaps that'll shift and stagger and the like. Younger people are right now more resistant to this infection. So they, for the most part, will be able to conduct a normal life. Will that include, jam packing 30 kids in a classroom or 30 students in a, in a lecture hall or something like that? Hard to say. Long term, it's hard to say. On top of everything else, one thing's for sure: the more death towers they roll out, the worse it's going to get. And we're not entirely convinced that what we're seeing here is 100% virus. And that might seem like a real weird. They delete this one too. Oh, look at them. What did they say here? Virus cases drop where cell towers have been destroyed. I don't think they can prove that to the contrary. They haven't even tested that out. But, we just present a case and we let the jury decide. The people are the jury. And, where we come from, free speech means free speech. Now, if they don't like it, then they can just turn the channel, flip the channel. Nobody's forcing them. Nobody's forcing people to watch it. But, as they erect, more death towers, you can bet that there's going to be, worse outbreaks, whether it be of the flu, of this thing, of anything else, because it attacks the immune system. And again, this is real basic science. This has been proven, decades ago. And this is why the insurance companies have basically bailed out trying to cover liability due to this technology. And so what they've decided to do is they work around it by just censoring information, not letting people object over health concerns. And, they just magically assign the label that this technology is safe. And, most scientists out there will say this is not safe. This definitely incurs a risk. And so, the debate rages. But it's really not much of a debate. They don't really want to talk about specifics. And you don't really see them cite anything specific that's that says that their technology is safe. I don't think anybody's, published any kind of independent paper. But, even if it's just 50-50, imagine there's, a new batch of drugs on the street and all the crackheads tell you, well, half the crackheads tell you, it's the best shit ever, and half the crackheads tell you, oh, it's killing people. Which crackheads are you going to believe? And I think you don't have much choice but to, kind of go with the worst case scenario here. You got a lot of people saying this stuff is problematic. Maybe you want to wait for the next batch. And yesterday, we were talking about how they don't even, ask you for your permission. They don't ask you for your permission to be penetrated or violated, by this technology. And if it potentially causes cancer, I mean, maybe, they should be asking people's permission. Hey, the EMF 390. Have you gotten yours yet? So, people are obviously taking this, into their own hands, and we're covering the news, just like, serial killers on the prowl, we're covering the news. Does that mean that, we are supporting this endeavor? We can neither confirm nor deny that. But we can say that it puts a smile on most people's faces seeing these towers burn. It's kind of like watching somebody, trip and fall. I mean, most people will laugh, even though the person, may have hurt themselves or whatever. It's just, natural human emotions. I can't imagine the troll, the fucktard, pardon the language, out there that looks at a video like this and goes, how dare you? How dare you? How are people going to, surf the internet? How are people going to irradiate themselves? What are the kids going to do? Now they might want to go and play outside. I can't imagine constructing arguments like, oh, wow, this is so terrible. Of course you're going to get, the hardcore, Luciferian that's like, this is some criminal activity. And, well, look, I mean, Captain Obvious, there's, pretty much everything is criminal activity these days. That doesn't stop people from protesting, and, it doesn't stop the Antifa from, breaking things. And the media is like, oh, look how wonderful they are. They're anti-fascist. They're fighting fascism. They're freedom fighters, So those people can go around and break shit, and they're heroes on television. It's criminal activity. But people that are burning down death towers are now terrorists. And, conspiracy theorists and, every other insult. They would rather insult people than actually address their concerns. And that's really the extent. I mean, I'm sure you've been paying attention to all the headlines. It's like all like conspiracy theories, crazy people, this, that, and the other. And they're not at all addressing the issues, other than to say, government officials assure us that this is safe. It's kind of like this pandemic. They were assuring us it was just like the flu. They were assuring us that you don't need a mask. They were assuring us that, we don't need to lock down and we can go to the rallies and everything like that. So, they can say that, they can say whatever they want to say. And people are still going to do what they feel is best. And that's really all you can say about it. And I think that if people didn't feel threatened, they would do something else with their time. But there's genuine concern when it comes to these towers. They keep getting closer and closer. I mean, they're not meant to be so close. I mean, the first cell towers were, parked outside of town. And now all of a sudden they're parked outside of your bedroom window. And people can feel it. And even if it's only psychological, it's like terrorism. You know, people are being terrorized by these death towers. They don't want them nearby. And it doesn't matter how many times they repeat it's safe. You know, this stuff is scientifically violating you. It's entering your body without your permission. And it doesn't matter how safe, it is. It's still a violation of your body. And so, they make these exceptions, for the sake of industry and money and the economy. But you have to wonder if there isn't something more nefarious going on, And you look at things like the fluoride, and it's like, well, they're not really making a whole lot of money on that. And that stuff just kills people for free. So they must just be wanting to kill people. Now imagine for a second that they were trying to kill you and that the TV was in on it. What do you think they would say? Oh yeah, this is some kind of conspiracy theory. These terrorists are out to, deceive you. And so expect the worst here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this one's only partly false information. What was this? Telecom workers destroy cell towers to warn public of 5G dangers. And, essentially, this was, a news report. They interview the telecom worker. He tells them exactly why he takes down the death towers. Because he's got the instruments, because he's being irradiated. I mean, it's exactly what the title says. And somehow they have to label it. All right. That one kind of went out there, 15,000 shares. And so, yeah, there you go. More of the same. Just another day in the office. Oh, this one is completely false, they say. New 5G towers being erected during super virus outbreak. Well, yes, they are, in fact. And that one's completely false, they say. So, and we're learning that, their fact checkers, or the head of their fact checking science division is actually a former employee of the Wuhan lab that released this virus. That, fake book is basically a huge communist sympathizing organization. I think a lot of people would be disturbed and surprised to know how many communist sympathizers there are in America right now. We could name names, but it's pretty disturbing. Not sure if anybody's still out there. We still live? Yeah, it's a bit smaller crowd today. We're social distancing thanks to ScrewTube. Want to give a big shout out to everybody that's still out there listening to us. You must really love this show to put up with this broadcast right now. It's kind of ghetto, but I think we've done our damage. We've done the damage for the time being, and now it's time to watch it kind of fall apart a little bit. And hope that people organize against this system. I mean, it has to happen. And I think, they've all been fully exposed. I mean, they all look like a bunch of idiots and clowns, And, people are awake to, what's going on. A lot of people are. Enough people to make a difference. If only 10 million people show up on July 4th to take the country back, I mean, good luck. Good luck stopping 10 million people. And that's really only like, 3%. Not even. What if 20 million people show up? And that's what we need. We need a boogaloo with like 20 million people. And, you know, and to take the capitals back, to take, you know, DC back, and just occupy new elections, suspend the, you know, the politicians, recall, instant referendum. I think we can, you know, make it legal. If people want it, you know, if people want to be exterminated, then they'll stay home. You know what I mean? If they want to be free, then they'll do what they did in 1776. I mean, that's, you know, that's the end of it. If people want to die like a bitch, they'll just stay home and just let this system gas them and irradiate them and infect them. And if they want to be free, they will depose of this, you know, government and restore the republic. And, you know, this happens in, you know, in history. It can happen again. I think if we were ever going to have a new revolution in this country, I mean, now's about as good of a time as any, because, you know, they've just gassed everyone. And soon they'll be, you know, rolling out Terminators, Robocops, and jacking you into the Matrix. So, you know, if you're going to survive, if humanity is going to survive, this is the time to do it. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. I wish, you know, I wish we had a little more time, and I wish we could have people call in. I think that would be more fun. That's what I'm craving right now, is just to have you call in, so I can, you know, just either applaud what you say or just take you down. You know what I mean? Hardcore. But we'll just see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, and as far as the collapse, I don't know. You know, we always hope that it'll just collapse into anarchy and that, you know, the Antifa can just take over. But essentially that would be even worse than what we got now. So what we need is, you know, all of the surviving Christians that are left to stand up, set up a Christian homeland, and make sure, you know, we have a place of our own. So we'll catch up with you guys later. Try sending us a message on the Twitter. Check us out on the website, stfnreport.com. And until the next time, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance. Uh-oh. Looks like the video guy forgot to hang up the microphone. There we go. Bye-bye.